Put on a Ike mini flip.
It's a little out of that. Good one on the frog.
Oh my gosh, look how big his mouth is. To be a 4-pounder, if that thing had a gut, that's like a 5 or a 6. What's going on, everybody? I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective, guys. It's been a while. I know it. I mean, break me over the coals. I know it's been a while. We just got a lot going on right now with some things that are going on that I'm going to keep kind of private right now, but just know that I'm really excited about what's about to come for One Objective. I'm thinking it's probably going to be, I'm going to say, I'm hoping no later than August, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be July-ish, while we're in the middle of our busiest season of the year, or of that time of the year. So, but we got some really exciting things that are going to be coming, and we'll start documenting it as we get going, as really starts ramping up here. But just know that I'm going to be in and out with podcasts just because we're trying to take care of that. On top of, we've been fishing some BFL, so we're going to be getting into that here in just a little while. But I want to thank everybody that, for taking the time to join in or to watch these videos and listen to these podcasts. And it really means a lot to us. And I know that we were doing well, but then, like I say, it got super busy with work. And then not only that, just trying to take care of some of the logistics of some things that we got going on. That's, I think, going to make One Objective better. We're going to be possibly even faster at getting products out. And then also, just the quality of the product and new products as well coming. So we got a lot in the works, and I'm really excited about it. So, but first, before we get into all of the goods and the story of today's show, let's thank some of our sponsors. Want to thank Waterland Eyewear, guys. I want to have a link down below. You can save yourselves 15% on your next order. Getting ready to put a new order in of sunglasses for the year. So they got some new lenses out there, ready to try some of those. So make sure you go check them out at Waterland Eyewear. And then also Missile Baits. I want to thank them for another great year, joining us for another great year, shall I say. Not only just with our podcast show, but also our videos, our One Objective Outdoors and all that. So I want to thank them as well. And also I want to thank Amped Outdoors. Great batteries, great people, very knowledgeable, great customer service. I mean, if you need anything, you got any questions of, hey, will this battery work with this motor or with these graphs or whatever, they're very, very knowledgeable, and they can point you in the right direction of what size you need to get, what won't work. So make sure you go check them out, Amped Outdoors. So, but guys, we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be kind of going over a few topics of the BFLs that me and James have been fishing. Also, we're going to be going over, we were just kind of conversating about this morning. It's been a conversation for the last week, just, little sporadic conversations here and there. But fish surveying, should it be done? Is there a better way of it could be done than electroshocking, especially like right when a big major tournament is coming on, which I know that doesn't matter to them. They're still doing a job. They're still trying to check out, do a survey for the fish. But I just want y'all's opinion. I got some better opinions here, or options here, I guess, I would think it would save the taxpayers money. And also I think that, I know it doesn't do it on all the fish. That's mainly bass, but there's also ways that they can survey for other species as well. So I was just kind of thinking, I was like, man, this ought to be something that ought to be shared and put out there. And probably everybody's got the same opinion, but I just want to put it out there. So, but anyways, guys, let's go ahead and start rolling into it. So it's May 2nd right now when I'm filming this video, and guys, well, to be honest with you, you'll probably see it on YouTube and iTunes today as well. So, but finally went out fishing for the first time this year, on just fishing at nighttime. I love it. And if you guys have been following this podcast for years, following some of our YouTube videos, you know that is absolutely one of my favorite times of the year to go fishing. I love night fishing. I love throwing, like Carolina rigs with trick worms or mag 2s or old monsters, or also, big creature baits. Like you go into the destroyers and your blacks, and I just love it. Your green pumpkins. It's just so much stuff that you can throw at nighttime, but it's all a lot of times it's bigger baits. I love that time of the year. So, um, but also it's topwater time, and when the shad spawn's going on like it is right now, it is such a fun bite. I feel like at the end of the day, I've run a marathon because I think I hold my breath so much when I'm throwing a topwater bait out there, like um, oh man, it just slipped my mind. But anyway, like like a big walking bait or a thunder stick is what I was trying to think of. Thunder stick, and you're just barely working that thing on top, and you can hear them just exploding on it, and they're missing it. How they miss those big baits and those hooks, I have no clue, but they're missing it, or you can hear them exploding down the bank, and you're trying to be patient as you get down there and keep working the bank, but you keep hearing this giant just blowing up. Sounds like someone's throwing big boulder rocks down in the water. And if you've never experienced it, you need to go out there, check the shad spawn out. It changes so much through the year. So, they'll start out early and then they'll get later and later and later and later. Well, if you got the wind as well, which y'all will see a video, I shot a video of this tournament, and it's the first time that I've really got to film this way. We've done it before where we always had somebody near a light, and as soon as someone sits a hook, we cut the light on, But this way, it kind of, I used a red light this time. So I'm going to see if this helps. It looks like the quality's pretty good. We'll see as I start putting the video together how it's going to turn out. But I had so much fun. I mean, the fishing was a little different. The wind was howling. And during the day, you always think the wind is your friend. You're looking for those wind-blown banks where you want those spinner baits and you want to throw all this stuff. And granted, that works at night. But when it comes to the thunderstick bite or a walking bait bite, you don't hear the shad up there swirling. You don't hear the bass busting on those banks when the wind's blowing like that. I think it keeps the shad off the bank a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist on this, but I just know that it's harder to catch them on a wind-blown bank at nighttime when shad spawn's going on. So, but then when I finally found some cuts that were calm, they were still hitting it funny. They were blowing up behind it. I thought maybe I was working it too fast, but they just still were not getting it, or they were just swatting it. Some of the ones I caught, it just had the back hook in their mouth. They wouldn't choking it like they do sometimes at night. So I think it's just starting to get fired up. I mean, my buddy Alan, he was up there too. He caught a couple of good ones. I probably caught, I don't know how many I caught, to be honest with you. I want to say maybe 5, 6. I lost several fish, and it was just kind of tough. They wasn't hitting it right. So, but I mean, had a good time. But I will say this: getting old sucks. Just for the fact that now, granted, I know that I didn't get back home at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Because, like I say, normally the bite starts around 9 or 10 this time of the year, but the wind was blowing. And once the wind calmed down, which was right around midnight, they started coming up and they started busting. So I was like, well, dang, I reckon I'm going to stay a little bit longer. So we didn't leave the water till about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And then by the time I got home, it was like 4 o'clock. So the next day, I felt like I was on a drunken hungover. I don't drink. I don't really drink no more. I might drink a beer here and there. So I don't drink to get drunk or get a buzz or none of that stuff anymore. But I might drink a beer here and there. But I have not had that like hungover feeling in a long time. And that's what it felt like. I felt like I was on another world yesterday and just exhausted the whole day. And when I was young, I used to go fish all night. I come home, sleep a little bit, and go to work the next day. I could come home, fish all night, stay up the whole day. We fish some of them 12-hour tournaments, come home and do stuff around the house, and then just go to bed that night and go to work the next day. Like now, whoo boy, I can feel it. I'm 42 years old, and I know I'm not old in most standards, but I can tell you, I do not feel as good as I did when I used to do it back in the day from fishing all night long. Man, I was so tired yesterday, and I can still feel it a little bit today. Like I still feel a little drowsy and like I ain't caught up on sleep. But oh well, it's the battle. It's worth fighting for me to do the night fishing stuff because I just love it. So especially if you go on a weekday. I mean, I love fishing night tournaments and stuff like that. But if you just go up there to go fishing like on a Wednesday when there ain't a night tournament, or a Monday, like it's quiet, because most people got to work the next day, and we do too. But it's just a lot. It's just a lot quieter, and it's don't have all the boats ripping and running. You hear a few, but it's not as much as it was like during the day, or if there's a Tuesday nighter or a Friday nighter or Thursday nighter or any of that stuff. So, but anyways, had a good time, guys. If you have never experienced going out night fishing, make sure you do it. Make sure you get out there and try. At least get out there right before dark. Try to get on that good topwater bite, and then fish for a few hours. But I always tell people, if you're gonna fish by yourself, make sure you wear your PFD, or make sure you tell people where you're gonna be, because I mean things can happen at nighttime, especially if you're running the big motor. So always just be careful, guys, and be safe when you're out there doing it. You want to come back home to your family the way you left. So. But anyways, make sure you get there. You check that out. I'll have a video coming soon for that. But before we get to that video, we have a couple other videos coming out here soon. And that is our BFL adventure that we're going through right now. We're kind of knocking the dust off, getting back into these tournaments. And we've been fishing the Virginia, the Shenandoah division. So they got the Shenandoah and they got the Piedmont. Piedmont fishes more North Carolina, some Virginia, but mostly like North Carolina, stuff like that. So where this one, we fished Smith, and then we just finished up Bugs like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And then we go to Potomac in 2 weeks, and then the James River, and then they go back to Potomac for a super tournament, and then the regionals at the James River. And that's the whole goal right there, is we're trying to make the regionals. I'm trying to survive these tournaments. I would love to win them for sure, but I've just been trying to find limit fish that are decent sized limit fish. I ain't looking for like 1 pounders, but it happens. That's how it goes. But I've just been trying to get the points to survive. You catch one fish, you get the points. You don't catch no fish, you get points, but I think it's like 20 points or something like that. So you catch a fish, you get the points. And so right now, I think I am 54th in points. I think they said they were taking 60 or 65 to the regional. Smith Mountain Lake was a crapshoot for me. I found some fish during practice time and I didn't hit on them hard. Like I was just trying to, figure out a little bite. I started throwing the mag draft around. I started catching some of them, and then I was like, well, let me leave this alone. So I had docks that I knew that I loved to throw the mag draft on. And then I found some new docks in certain areas, started throwing a Nico rig around. I caught a couple quality 2-pounders. And then, I found a few small bites with a minnow, nothing that I felt like that I could go and run a whole tournament with. And then some of the ones that I did find were being finicky, that I couldn't get them to bite well, which come to find out, that's basically what won the tournament, was that kind of bite, but I couldn't get it going. I'm okay with live scope, but I'm not the greatest at all. Like I figured out enough where I can go catch a few fish, but other than that, like it ain't true what they say. You got live scope, you can catch them all. You can't do it. I'm telling you, some people can't. Some people have really dialed it in and can figure it out, but I'm not at that point yet. I mean, I can catch a few, and I've caught enough to let's say get a limit before, but like I can't ever find those good quality. Like I might catch one good one and then catch a bunch of dinks. I can't figure it out where I can catch a bunch of them. So, but anyways, then that was Wednesday. I practiced, Thursday we practiced, and Friday we practiced. It was a short practice. Wednesday I found some. Thursday the bite started getting a little tougher, but I found a few more. And then Friday, we had Robert Brown with us, which we've had on the show before. And I mean, he caught 2 really good ones. He caught a 4-pounder, and then he caught another like 2.5, 3 pounds. One was on a crankbait, one was on a chatterbait. And I think I caught a couple little ones. I couldn't ever get nothing big going, which I wasn't trying to fish my main baits. I was trying to find a little something different. But either way, I still couldn't figure them out. And James, I think he had a little bit of tougher day on Friday as well. He caught a few, but he had a little bit tougher day. So you could see that it was declining the closer we got to this tournament. And then tournament day, I said, look, I'm going to run to the state park. I'm going to throw a fluke over these treetops, because I tried it in a few spots, but I didn't want to hit the state park because I knew it was going to get beat up anyways during practice. And I know that I can go in and do that time of the year and catch a few. And I go in and I catch right at a 2-pounder. And I was like, all right, this is going to be it. We might be able to get a limit, and then we can work on some kicker fish, throwing a jig or some texture rig, something like that. Maybe get some kicker fish. And it never happened, man. Like I caught, I don't know, 5 or 6 more fish, but they were all 13 and 3/4, throwing a Nico rig, throwing stuff that I was catching big fish or decent sized fish off of, and it just never happened. Like we got the points. I feel bad because my co-angler Alvin Hicks, he didn't catch nothing. He caught a smallmouth, a little baby smallmouth, but it was just tough. And then you come back into weigh-in, and I mean, it was not the big bags that was taken. I mean, it was still 20 some pounds that won it, but it was not the big bags like I thought were going to be brought in by the big guys like Chad Green. And I mean, they brought in some good bags. Don't get me wrong, but even them guys were saying the bite was tough. Like, I mean, the week before that, they had a 30 some pound bag. So, and then it had like 16, 7, maybe it was 18 pounds. I can't remember what they had in this tournament. So the bite fell off dramatically. James, he had one fish. It was just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but we come out with some points, and I think I was like 90, I don't know, 94th, 95th, something like that in points. And then I was able to go to fish Bugs Island, which my tournament video will be coming out next week, but I think I finished 47th or something, 45th, something like that. And I was able to make up points big time and put me in like the 54, I think it was like 54th in points or something. So I made a big jump. We got Potomac coming. I'm hoping that I'm able to make the big jump there for Potomac and kind of get further up in the points where I feel like if I have to miss, like I'm worried about the June tournament just because what I talked about earlier was some things going on with one objective that I may not be able to make that one. I don't know, or have any practice. So we just got to see. We're going to see how that goes. But I think if I go up there and catch a few more fish at Potomac and just kind of get myself up there, I can lock myself into the regional if I do miss one or have one bad tournament. So that's a goal. James, Bugs Island for him, which y'all see the tournament video coming out here soon. He had a wild day. Let's just put it that way. He had a wild day. I'm not gonna post. I mean, y'all can do the research and look at where he finished if you want, but I'm not gonna say much more about it until the video comes out. But he had a pretty wild day. So my practice at Bugs was, man, I had such a fun time. We only fished 2 days. The water when we got there started out. It had been in the bushes. All the rain that we had, it watered and got up and got in the bushes, and it just as the tournament was going on, it was just dropping. I mean, you see it on the tree line. So you put it in the morning, you look, and you're like, God dang, they really pulled it. And they pulled it hard. Thursday, they pulled it hard. Friday until Friday afternoon. And then when we come over the Gaston Dam, going back to the hotel, there was no current moving. They wasn't pulling water, and it kind of stabilized. I'm like, well, man, maybe that'll make the bite better because the water will stabilize and coming down. And we caught them, but I didn't catch them nothing like I did Thursday. I had right around, and this could be me being a little shy because I didn't weigh all of them, but I had it right around 15, 16 pounds. And I had a 4, I had a 4.5. I had another one that was probably 3.5. I don't think it was 4, but at least 3.5. I had a couple more good ones on there, and I had a bag that wouldn't have won it. It wouldn't have been the winning weight for Saturday, but I felt like I would have had a top 10 to top 5 finish if I'd have had that bag. But you can't win practice. You can't. That don't matter. You got to be able to put it all together and not bang on all your fish and beat them up and have enough to catch them on Saturday, which I feel like I did not lay on those fish. You know what I mean? Like I went through and I caught a 4 on a Nico rig, and basically I know nothing bang. It was a little stick sticking up. It wasn't a tree down there. It was a little bitty twig sticking up, and I caught a 4 on it. And then I was like, okay, that was on Nico rig. I went around. Because sometimes you want to catch 2 to make it a pattern, or 3 to duplicate it. But I left that area, went around. I caught another dink on it, and I was like, all right. I put it down for a while, started throwing a fluke, had one swirl on it. And then I pick up the Nessie, and I had one ball on it. And I was like, okay, because I used that to find bedding fish, and they were bedding then. But you can't see them real good because the water was kind of dingy. So not unless you got really close and on top of them could you really see them bedding in certain areas. So I said, okay, well, I used it. I used the Nessie for a while, found a couple that chased it, but I couldn't get to them on Friday because it was so many boats in the area. So, I mean, on Saturday. So, anyways, this is all Thursday still. And I finally, like, talking to James and him, they caught a field texture rig, which I knew would probably do well because it was still somewhat in the bush. You had some laydowns and some deeper water. If you could find deeper water with laydowns, you could find some fish. And so I picked the brush hog up and then flipped it right around a dock. I was kind of pitching around because I was pulling up shallow, look for fish on beds, and catch a 4.5. And I'm like, man, this is crazy, because to have a day like that on bugs, it's been tough here lately. The fish quality has been a little lower. So, and then I went back, found another tree and another creek, flipped to that, and catch a 2.5, 3. And I'm like, okay, let's put this bad boy down. So then I started. So let me find plan B. And I started running points. And I come up on a point and I catch one about 2.5, something like that. And I was like, all right, marking this one. I went down a little bit. Because this rock wall, the way it was, this rock point, it went way down on both sides of it. So I just threw it. I said, let me see if there's anything on the sides of these points. And I caught another 2. And I didn't want to catch that one. I was trying to just let it go. And I was trying to shake because I shook off, I don't know, 7, 8 fish that day. And then I was trying to shake him off and he about choked it. So I had to get him in. And then towards the end of the day, man, I just went looking for deeper water with laydowns. And I said, well, that looks good. If I shook off 2 or 3 there. And then I hooked one because he just wouldn't let it go. That was about 3.5. And it gets hung up my trolling motor. And if you haven't watched the video, I have a major spill in my boat. I mean, I fall hard. I was lucky I didn't go in the water or break a rod or kill a fish or any of that stuff. So I guess it was graceful fall. I was able to fall where I needed to fall, but it could have been a lot worse. So, but anyways, had a good day that day. And then the second day, I took Jason Hensley out, man, the myth, legend, and we just went running points. I basically fished all the right side of Nut Bush the first day. Then I said, well, let me go fish all the left-hand side. And we caught a few, but nothing like it was. And then tournament day, I'll let you guys watch that video and see how it all goes down. So, but I ended up drawing out where I had Alvin Hicks for the BFL. I ended up drawing his wife out for the Bugs Island one. So it was pretty crazy. So 2 good co-anglers and had fun with it. And that's a fun thing about the BFLs is, even if you're going in as a co-angler, like my buddy Jason and Robert and them, they're signing up with us as the co-anglers. It's still a draw. Like, you don't know who you're going to get, but you got to have somebody to sign up with. And you don't have to, I guess, but to guarantee a spot in, you do. And for them, they don't have boats, so it's a great experience for them to get out on the water, learn a little something, get to go fishing. For us, we get to meet new people. Also, you learn from the co-anglers. Some of these guys are hammers. And so I love fishing BFLs. They're fun. They're a little stressful at times, but because you want to do well, you spend a lot of money, you want to do well. And for me, I also want my co-angler to do well. Like, it's in my head. Like, I don't want to backboat nobody. I want to be fair and try to, like the live scoping thing. I've seen some of these guys live scoping, and I feel bad for them co-anglers in the back of the boat. You don't see it a lot, though. I will say that. Like Bugs, I didn't see it a lot. Smith, that one was a little different. I'm not going to get into who did what, but I will say we got cut off by the same guy twice. And a couple of people I know got cut off by the same guy. And it was just, there was no etiquette there with that. And it was just live scoping. And the guy in the back of the boat, I felt horrible for. Now, whether he caught him, I don't know. I don't know his co-angler's name, but he wasn't getting many casts, it looked like. I'll tell you that. But other than that, it seems like most of the other guys that I've talked to and all that seem to be having a good time. And it sounds like, this is just rumor. It sounds like there could be some changes for live scoping and stuff next year. With, just from what I've heard, I don't know how true it is. And, it could be half a day you can live scope, and the other half you can, or something like that. And, that'd be great. I think there should be some changes like that. I like the live scope, but, it's a great tool. And if you got it, use it. I'm not one of the ones that are going to knock live scope, but it also would be great to just cut it off half a day and then just fish, do what you need to do, make cast and cast at laydowns and throw jigs and, that kind of stuff. So But we've had a good time. I'm really excited about them. And like I said, I'm excited about Potomac. Never been there. Well, I take it back. I have been there once, and it was the first time being there, we were kind of like, ooh. Me and James fished a club tournament there. And so I'm excited to get back. I'm excited to learn some new water. I'm only going to have 1 day of practice, which is okay. But just got to figure something out. So I've been doing a lot of map study, been doing a lot of chart study, and just trying to do as much practice here on the computer with breaking down water as I can, so I can be efficient enough on the water Friday to break it down, because I have to be off the water. I think it's about 4 or 6 or something like that. So I got to put as much time in as I can there. So, but anyways, this kind of brings me up to my next topic, and that's surveying fish. I know, I talked about this at the beginning, and Virginia Game and Inland Fisheries, I'm sure North Carolina, all these other states do it. They got the shock boats, and they go in and they shock these fish up, and they check their size and length, and they keep some of them, they cut them open, see what they're eating or whatever. I don't know the full process, but I know what they do. Well, James was out there 1 day of practice, and the shock boat, he's fishing and he's kind of figuring out a good area, and here comes a shock boat in there. Well, if you've never fished behind a shock boat, you just know that the fishing sucks after they've come through and shock. And sometimes it takes a couple of days in that area for it to really come back good. And to do that right for a big event, which I know that they don't pay no mind of that. They're going to do their job. They're trying to make sure that the fish are doing what they need to be doing and growing and putting the numbers in and all this. But Bugs Island for many, many years, for most, have sucked. If you remember the heydays of Bugs Island / John Kerr Reservoir, it was good fishing. It was really great fishing. And now, there for a while, if had the bass die off, or I can't remember what the virus was that went, but the fishing was horrible. It was tough, man. It was really tough to catch big bags. And you're starting to see more and more starting to come along. But for instance, another thing we've talked about too is the stocking of F1 tiger bass. They're doing it in Gaston to help with eating the spotted bass, because they'll eat the spotted bass up. They get so big. And, spotted bass, it's a lot of small spotted bass, and that lake's overrun with them. They were put in there when they should have never been put in there, I guess. But, I mean, it is fun fishing. I ain't going to lie. But, so they, North Carolina's doing the stocking, because most of Gaston's in North Carolina. So they've been stocking that, which is on the tail end of Bugs Island, if you don't know. Well, then they, from what I hear, is they're trying to do that with Bugs, but Virginia apparently doesn't want to front none of the money. Where Gaston wants to put some in it, but they're not going to do it because Virginia's not going to do it, because Bugs is basically split 50-50, Virginia and North Carolina. So anyways, that ain't going to work. So they're trying to do all this study, but, they're not doing nothing about it, it seems, of finding out fish creel size and, the average of this size in different parts of the lake. But me and James was talking. It's like, why do they not save the taxpayers' money and go to Occoneechee when they're having a big event? Or go, I know this is in North Carolina, but Nutbush, North Carolina Game and Fishery can come there. You never see Game and Fishery at these tournaments. Why would you not go there after they weigh the fish? A lot of times they have another thing down there where they can fill the water. Why not have another tank or 2 tanks where, hey, put your fish in here. If it's over this size, or they can look at it and be like, hey, put this fish in here. But you fill out a survey sheet. You take your fish up here, you put them in the water and let them sit there for a little bit, and you fill out a survey sheet. How much weight did you bring in? On an average, what's your biggest one? On an average, what is most, what is your fish that you have, the 5 fish limit? You got a 2-pound average. They can take, certain bags. Well, here, let me, they can do every other bag or every 3rd, 4th bag, whatever. They can do a fin clip just to check, whatever they do. Like they do that with the F1 tiger bass. They'll clip the fins and send them off to study it, make sure it's an F1 tiger or whatever. They could take a couple of fish if they want to open up and see what's they've been eating. If one looks sick, don't look good, take that one. And then you can also see what's in his belly, what could be hurting him. You could do blood samples to see if he's got a virus, whatever. And But on that sheet, you can say, hey, where were most of your fish caught? And James, like James said, you could break it down in 3 parts, A, B, and C. And you fill that paperwork out. You have so much data right there. I feel like you could get more data doing that than you could going out there and burning gas all day long, paying 3 and 4 guys, which you're paying 3 or 4 guys to do this anyways. But to be out there burning gas and paying these guys to go out there and just float around and shocking fish and pull them when you got all the information, bringing it right to you. You ain't got to go nowhere. You just show up to the boat ramp. Here's our tools that we need to do this with, and let's talk to people. You know what I mean? And have some surveys on there. Other questions. You ain't got to be nothing long, but you tell the guys at the tournament, hey, they're Virginia Game and Inland Fisheries or Game and Inland Fisheries going to be here today doing a survey. Be truthful with them as best you can. Fill out the survey. This helps our fishery. I mean, if you look like you got about 50, 60, 70 bags that are 2 pound average, okay, now we know what we got on the average of fish that's caught in here. And you ain't got no 4s and 5s and, not many 3s. Okay, now we got an issue with the lake. But if you start getting into where, it's several big fish being caught, okay, now our lake's thriving. It's starting to do good. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of wasted money, but there's a lot of great resources out there that they could use these tournament anglers to benefit them and benefit the lake other than going out there shocking on. Some of them will do it on like a Thursday or Friday right before a tournament. You know what I mean? Now, granted, like I say, I know they don't care about that. They're doing their job. And that's me being a tournament angler. That's me being kind of selfish talking, I guess, like, hey, you're pissing me off because you're shocking my fish up that I could be catching the next day. So that don't really matter. That's just me thinking to myself on that, I guess. But I just don't understand why they don't do that. They have the resources. There is freaking Smith Mountain Lake has 3 or 4 tournaments going on a day sometimes on Saturday. Go out there. I mean, they could pay somebody to go out there on a night tournament and look at the freaking giants that are being caught and do surveys on it. You don't have to pay a group to go out there. And when I show up to the boat ramp, sometimes there's 2 and 3 boats putting in at Smith Mountain Lake to go survey. And I guess they're going to 3 different areas and they're surveying. Man, you don't do all that. You got a tournament. I mean, it's okay to do it here and there, if you need to do it, but like take advantage of the anglers that's on the water. We also have striper tournaments. Go out there and survey the striper tournaments. There's guys that have crappie tournaments. Go out there and survey that. You can also write on the survey when you're doing a bass tournament, how many other species did you catch? Did you catch sunfish? Average size of that? Just quick little simple questions that somebody could just write in real quick. I don't know. It just I've always wondered. We in a time where we're talking about saving money and the economy's hurting or whatever. Whatever's going on with that. I just don't understand why we don't take advantage of the anglers in the tournaments that we have. If they really want to do one like a perch tournament or something, we're going to do a perch tournament. Jenny Game and Fish is going to put it on. Okay, and then or you can let somebody else put it on. And then they just kind of help sponsor it or whatever. And it's going to be a perch tournament. And we want everybody to bring in 10 perch. Biggest bag wins. They all got to be alive. And, if you want to take them home and eat them, you can because, there's really not a big, there's a limit, but it's a lot of them that you got to have. And just show up and do the creel on that. You get so much information. It's unbelievable. So, I don't know. That's just me talking. I just hope that the right person would hear this and maybe say, dang, you know what? He's got a great idea. I don't know. But that's just my opinion. I thought about doing, because, trying to do these shows sometimes and having guests. And that's some of the reason why some of our shows haven't, because some of our guests have forgot that they've overbooked 2 or 3 things or 2 or 3 so many podcasts out there now. They're like, man, I forgot I booked this one earlier. Can we arrange a different date? And the dates they want to arrange it on, I'm doing something, so it's really tough. And I wish that some of these people, when I do arrange the dates, would kind of look at their schedule like, oh yeah, I don't have nothing. We got phones here with calendars. We could write that down. But anyways, that's my little second rant. But so I thought about doing these little segments of like what's on my mind. It might be a 10, 15, 20-minute segment. of something we've talked about or something that's popped up, and maybe start doing some podcasts like that. And it might not be a regular schedule. It might just, you see it pop up and you're like, oh, let me see what he's talking about today, So that's something I'm thinking about doing. But also, we got something that we're in the works with a sponsor that's going to be coming on board with us. I think it's next. Well, now it's May, so I think it's this month we're going to be doing it. We'll have more details. Maybe the next show we'll be going over it and talking about it, and we'll have the founder of the company and the great topic that he brought up that we're going to start doing at some of our shows. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Please follow along on our YouTube channel, on our BFL adventures and all other fishing adventures. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's we've really had a good time doing this One Objective Outdoors channel. So make sure you follow along with that. And then I'm trying to do better at B-roll footage and kind of having a story. I know that, when we don't catch no fish, we're going to have a video because I want y'all to see the grind. It's got to be real, because you can't just have videos where you're just constantly catching big fish. And if you did it all the time, that's great. But to be real and to be like the average guy out there, it's not that easy. So we're trying to keep everything on a real level here. So, there's times you're not going to have many fish catches, especially on some mountain lake. But follow along with that. Follow along with some of our other projects we got going on. We're going to have an update video hopefully coming here soon with James's Pond. We're getting into the spring now, so we're starting to do a little bit more stuff with that. And he's been doing some cleanup. And I say he's been doing everything. He's been doing some cleanup around his pond. So we got a lot of content that's going to be coming out here soon. Right now, we're at 2 videos a week. We're trying to possibly get it to 3 to 4 videos, depending on what extra stuff we got going on. So, I don't know. We got some good stuff coming. So make sure you guys just go check out One Objective Outdoors. If you're watching on YouTube, you're already seeing it now. And please hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers at the end of this year. So we're working on it. We've been getting a lot of subscribers. And we're very thankful for all of them and for everybody that's followed along. So, but like I say, if you like the video, hit the share button, hit the like button, share this video with your friends. And guys, we will see you next time. And like I say, be safe out on the water. If you decide to go out there night fishing, be safe. Wear your life vest, wear your kill switch, all that good stuff that you need when you're out there on the boat. So on that, guys, we will talk to you later. See ya.